Thank you, friend. Shabbat shalom, greetings to you all. My thoughts and prayers go out to Sherry, who's been recovering from a terrible accident that has taken a toll for much too long. And she's about to become a bionic woman. We can rebuild her. We have the technology. We can make her better, faster, stronger. Those were the words in 1973, and based on that, you would have thought we all would have replacement parts by now. Anyhow, she is scheduled for knee replacement surgery, and I know she will have a fantastic recovery. And we're all there for you, my dear. Look out, Terry. Look out, kids. She was always a force, and now she will be like her not-so-old self again. She will be better, faster, stronger. And greetings go out to my dear friend Jackie. It is always a pleasure to speak to you, to see you, to find out what is happening in your life. And it seems to be wedding season. At least wedding accoutrement shopping season. Finalizing venues, flowers, food, bands, photos, and shopping for the officiant. And I have seen some great couples lately who will all have beautiful ceremonies. My friends, what I've noticed more and more is because of the hugely shifting dynamic of today, the largest population percentages in just about every religious group belong to the interfaith and unaffiliated members of those societies. Almost 50% marry outside the faith they grew up in. They do not want to have to convert, and they do not want to belong to an establishment institution that barely recognizes them. Perhaps all of our religious institutions should take note of the growing political and sociological rebellion against the establishment and should embrace this new community of like-spirited believers. There is no room for differences. Break down those barriers of divisiveness. Come together and drop the dogma. Now, in some strange way, I'm reminded of the play by Peter Weiss in the early 60s, which was made into a fantastic musical film in 1967, the best version of the songs of which were sung by Judy Collins. And it disappeared until recent events brought them back to life. It was all about characters during the French Revolution. Marat were poor, and the poor stay poor. Marat don't make us wait anymore. We want our rights, and we don't care how. We want a revolution. Now, friends, people seem to want a revolution. You say you want a revolution? Well, we all want to change the world. Let us hope it is a peaceful, loving one. That was the revolution of this book we have been reading. A peaceful transition for people to follow their faith. Well, this week, what we are reading is usually the second half of last week's Parsha, but in leap years they are read separately. Friends, this is the last reading from Exodus, which means the least attractive book of the Torah is coming, the book of Leviticus, the book devoted to the priestly rules and regulations. And what it lacks in stories, it more than makes up in laws. But we will explore it in new, different, dynamic ways. But first, we have Pekudei, accounting, the parsha that begins with an audit. Exodus 38:21. These are the reckonings of the tabernacle of the covenant. How exciting, the tabernacle of the covenant. We all saw the covenant take place. And it goes on to explain how that fantastic overabundance of gifts we have read about was used in the production of all the great tabernacle loot. None of which, do not forget, has existed mostly since First Temple times, and the rest not since Second Temple times. Also, do not forget the ransom was paid by 603,550 people. And at 20 weights of silver or whatever it was, that was a lot. And with inflation, wow, that would be huge. Now, why are we so focused on the trappings of life? A richer tapestry, a larger sanctuary, a more ornate crown, bigger house, fancier car. It would seem that we as a species have not progressed much where our egos are concerned. All of those things are measures of ego, and therefore what we deem as measures of our worth. I do not think Neanderthal man was as worried about moving to a better cave as the Flintstones would have us believe. After all, we simply projected back in time our own personalities to imagine how their life would be, and we did the same things with projecting forward to imagine the life of the Jetsons. All these things that we have been reading about and are so focused on in terms of how they looked and which we use or simply false measure of our worship. They're just things that do not exist. And friends, this is one of those rare times when the events occurring that we read about are close in real time, so that when we're reading about them and it's taking place at the same time, I find that exciting. Exodus 41. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, on the day of the first month, on the first of the month, You shall set up the tabernacle of the tent of meeting, and you shall put there the ark of the covenant and screen the ark with the curtain. Well, the first day of the first month is, of course, the first of Abib, now Nisan, which, because of the leap month, is still a few weeks away, but we can pretend God is telling us to finish what we are doing because the designated day is imminent. The setup of all this great loot is now. It takes you there, doesn't it? He'll take you up, he'll bring you down. He'll plant your feet back on the ground. He'll fly so high, he'll swoop so low. Legend of a Mind by the Moody Blues. But that was a different kind of trip. And it happened in the first month in the second year, on the first of the month, that the tabernacle was set up. Well, we now know a lot from that sentence, friends. We know when. We already know where. And we are witnesses to what is coming and how. The very first post-Exodus festival of unleavened bread is but a full moon away. Do not focus on that list of things that we just watched being constructed. The detail was such that we could see it, touch it, be a part of it, but we can't take any of that with us. What I want to focus on, what I want you to take away from this is what the Parsha ends on. The cloud and the glory. Those are the measure of God. Those are the real reminders. Those are divine. Those were part of the daily miracles that took place for 40 years. These are the things which allowed the wilderness generation not to believe, but to know that God existed. The other trappings are mortal, transient, imitation, not like the cloud and the glory. As Simon Zealot saying, you'll get the power and the glory forever and ever and ever. We actually first encountered the glory of God in Exodus 24:16 when the cloud descended on the mountain. But you see, the cloud and the glory are really the same thing. And we're used to them by now. The cloud and fire that led them from the time they left Egypt. The cloud and fire of the wilderness, of the crossing of the Red Sea, of the tabernacle. This was the sign of God among the people. And the cloud covered the tent of meeting, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. And Moses could not come into the tent of meeting, for the cloud abode upon it, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. And when the cloud went up from over the tabernacle, the Israelites would journey onward in all their journeyings. And if the cloud did not go up, they would not journey onward until the day it went up. For the Lord's cloud was over the tabernacle by day, and fire by night was in it, before the eyes of all the house of Israel, in all their journeyings. The Lord's glory, kavod, is clearly a palpably concrete manifestation of the deity for all the metaphysical attributes that later theology would attach to it. It may have been imagined as a kind of mantle of light enveloping God, with the cloud giving off a luminosity by day parallel to the fire by night. And the English word glory suggests a nimbus or halo, and it's therefore a very appropriate translation. This cloudy radiance is so daunting to behold that even Moses does not enter the tent until the cloud lifts. The Lord's cloud by day and fire by night was in it. And friends, these words hark back to the initial report of the pillar of cloud and fire in Exodus 13:21 that marked the very beginning of the wilderness narrative, leaving this whole large segment of text encompassed in bookends, the visible evidence of God's journey. And so we are left seeing that the concluding words of Exodus point forward not so much to the priestly regulations of the book of Leviticus, which follows next, but to the book of Numbers, with its tales of wilderness wanderings, near catastrophic defections, and dangerous tensions between the leader and the led. And what can best be summed up by that great song by Steve Goodman and Shel Silverstein, "What have you done for me lately?" It's such a common attitude. What have you done for me lately? Is how old friends show their gratitude. Now, just when you need a little support, their faces get long and their memories get short. What have you done for me lately? Lately, I've been doing without you. Now, if you're going to skip anything, friends, go ahead and skip Leviticus. It is what most like to skip. But make sure you come back for Numbers. And do not worry, every week I will give you the highlights of the latest batch of laws. The world is sacred. So is everything in it. Express your gratitude, light a candle, make a wish, celebrate your life and the lives of those you love. Share your feelings with them. Live free, be free, honor your freedom. Be well, be happy, be blessed. Share and honor the light, and all who live in the light continue to shine. Continue to send everyone you know goodwill and love. Pray for peace and freedom for everyone, and end to terror and hatred. Remember, friends, we are a community We learn together, we celebrate each other, we love each other. We share this right together, men and women equally. Let us send out love, not fear. Send out peace, harmony, good healing to all who need it. And please do, learn to forgive and learn to love. Open your hearts and honor the relationships of your life. Tell those you love that you love them. Take advantage of the time you have, and remember the journey is yours to enjoy, as are the twists and turns and the patterns that weave through the fabric of our lives in our effort to grow, to learn, to be, to love. So please do love and share the light with all who live in the light and all who need the light. Remember, keep opening your hearts and watch for the glory of God. Bows and flows of angel hair and ice cream castles in the air and feather canyons everywhere. I've looked at clouds that way. The next time you see a cloud, you are seeing the glory of God. And farewell, George Martin. Had you come some other day, then it might not have been like this. Alav, shalom, may he rest in peace. The man who, much more than Brian Epstein, made the Beatles the Beatles. But of all these friends and lovers, there is no one compares with you. Bless you all. Have a fantastic week, a week of love and light and peace and healing and thanks. And send your goodwill to those who need it. Keep on dreaming. Keep being, keep teaching, keep sharing, keep shining, keep spreading your holiness. And thank you all for joining me. Shabbat Shalom.